Dandy Tattoo Shop, untamed and out of pocket with Ace Wilde. Ace, welcome to Handcrafted.
Number 7. Let's do this.
So, we were talking, we had a little group text going before, and we were thinking about possibly making podcast history with the first ever tattoo on the show. First they were telling me it was me, that I was going to be the one, and I think Spencer offered up, so can we make that happen?
I volunteered. I don't know what I want. I don't know where I want it.
It's going on your face.
Yeah. I mean, moneymaker, right?
No tattoos? You don't have any tattoos, Spencer?
I don't have any. When I was younger, I had some stuff that I thought about, and I'm so glad I didn't do it, because it would have been just stupid shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I did all that stuff when I was like 16, and then I had it all covered, and then got more stuff.
What was your first?
A little Guinness harp on my shoulder.
Oh, okay.
What's the story behind that, or what?
I was a drunk little punk rock kid. I was like, oh, I guess it's Irish too, so I can get a harp, and then I can do like beer, and like I can tell my parents it's for Ireland.
What is it now? Is it still there?
No, it's covered up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't have any tattoos either, and I've never really had a strong desire to get one. But when we were talking about setting this up and recording here, a little flame ignited, and I was like, I feel like I want a tattoo. But I'm in the same boat. I have no idea what I want.
Dreaming big.
We could, we could dream big.
Maybe lower back.
Yeah, we could do that. I like that on the face.
When did you realize the Guinness harp wasn't staying?
When I was like gonna do my big chest piece, he was like, I want to make the wings like out this way. I was like, cover that old stuff up. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just didn't care about it, you know.
So starting out here, Ace Wilde, tattoo artist. How did it all come about? Take us back.
Oh man, I was 16, and just like all I wanted to do I wanted to be a cop, a radiologist, or a tattoo artist. And like I realized that I didn't want to be a cop when I was a teenager. I was like, you know what? I'm a fucking drunk punk.
Yeah.
I don't care about cops anymore. And then radiology, I would have been just getting out of college now.
Yeah.
And everything I would have, that would have been the worst time to be a radiologist, because I'd be getting out of school and everything would be obsolete right now, you know. But I was obsessed with tattoos, and so I just wanted to hang out at the tattoo shop every day. And then I started bothering the guy that I knew there. I was like, give me a job. I'll sweep the floors. I don't care. Just give me a job. And he just kept saying, no. Until I was like a little bit, probably 6 months to a year. And I was 17, and he was like, all right, let's do this.
Where was that? Where's the shop?
It was Expo. It was on the south side. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So then you're wanting to get in as a custodian. What? I mean, that was your way in the door. Obviously, you can't just say I'm going to become a tattoo artist. You had some artistic ability leading up to that, yeah?
I mean, loosely.
Yeah.
I wasn't obsessed with art. I was obsessed with tattooing. And a lot of tattooers, when they start really young, that's how they learn art, is they learn art through tattooing. And then that's the best way to learn tattooing, is not all this art school stuff. Art school kids, they can be good tattooers, but they have to relearn what works as a good tattoo that's going to last for 20 years. Where I learned art through tattooing, which made me go, okay, this is what makes a good tattoo, so this is what I'm going to draw and paint and everything. And that made me a better tattooer, I think.
So you had some talent in there, untapped art potential.
Yeah, I think everybody does. It's just like everything. You practice everything enough, you're going to be good at it.
Right.
You know?
Okay, so then let's fast forward a little bit to you're getting ready to do your first tattoo on your own.
Yeah.
Tell the story behind that.
Well, the first tattoo I ever did was on me.
Okay.
It's on my ankle. It's now framed. I didn't cover it up or anything.
To the heart?
Yep.
Okay.
And the guy who taught me how to tattoo handed me a broken tattoo machine, probably like a week prior to the tattoo, and he was like, "I broke this on purpose. You take it apart, figure out what's broken, put it back together, and make it run." And so it took me like a week of putting it back together, taking it apart, putting it back together, and I figured it out. And then he's like, "Okay, cool, that runs good enough." And he was like, "Set up, tattoo yourself." And I was like, "You can't be kidding me." And he's like, "No, you do it." And it's terrible, but I did it. And then I tattooed the counter girl right after me. I was like, "Let's put a nautical star on the back of your arm." And so she has a nautical star. All the points are good except for the top one. It like curved to the left.
Well, the good thing is she can't see it, really.
Yeah. She still has it. She never covered it.
Nice.
So then, okay, fast forward to your first actual customer as a tattoo artist. Talk about that.
I don't even know who that was because
Yeah.
I was tattooing so many friends back then.
So
Like,
that was your training, was tattooing you, the counter girl.
Yeah, and then just a bunch of friends, like for free. You want a free terrible tattoo, and you'd be surprised. They will line up out the door. They don't care if it's good. If it's cheap or free,
Yeah.
they will line up out the door. I used to do $13 Friday to the 13th tattoos here, and it started as like, all right, regular customers, friends, family. This is gonna be a fun day of like tattooing so many people, and then it turned into like by the third one, it was nobody that we knew. It was nobody who's ever been in the shop before. But they were lined up, and I was tattooing till like 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was just people who just wanted a $13 tattoo.
So they walk in the door and say, "I want a wolf tattooed on my back."
No, it's always like something that's already drawn.
Okay.
My friend Corey has a couple. I know everybody else can't see this, but there's a couple at the end of the row there that are 13s, and that's like the $13 tattoo. It's like something that can be done in 10 minutes.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, how many are you rocking right now?
One tattoo.
Yeah, that's
all
actually
one.
very true, yeah. How many different sessions are we talking there?
I don't know that either.
Hundreds?
I know that I've been tattooed by over 40 people.
Over 40? How many of those are yours that you did yourself?
Just two little ones. Yeah. The other one was just the one that I did with two friends. I did them on them, and I was like, "I'm gonna do it on me too."
Nice.
So you've been in the tattoo game since 1998. You've been here since 2007 at Yankee Doodle Dandy Tattoo, right? You've any idea how many tattoos you've done in your lifetime?
Oh, I couldn't even guess that either.
But there's got to be some crazy stories, right? Surely through the years you've got some. Like, what's the most obscure tattoo request you've ever had?
I don't know, the one that I always think of, because I turn everybody down. If it's something like stupid, crazy, like bizarre, there's like two that I always tell people. And I owned a different shop. And when this happened, this guy came into my shop. He ended up coming here and talking to Dan too. And Dan and I both had the same reaction with this guy. He came in and he had a yearbook. He had like a picture of like show choir or something. Like it's just people standing on bleachers, you know, like that group photo. And he's like, "I want her face on my face." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I want her face tattooed on my face." And I was like, "Get the fuck out of here."
I wish you could see my face right now. So wait. He wanted a woman's face tattooed over his entire face.
Not even a woman, like
an
17-year-old show choir photo.
How old's this guy?
Was he in the photo?
I don't know if he was, I never asked. I was just like, "Get the fuck out." But like, I don't know if he knew her. I don't know any of the backstory.
Black and white photo, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he came here, and Dan always says, I told him, "You're crazier than a shithouse rat. Get the fuck out of here and don't come back." And then he went up to 5 Point Studios when he was in Johnston, and those guys were like, "Dude, you'll never guess this guy came in the other day." And I was like, "He came in my shop too." But they talked him into getting like a rose on his arm or like a
Something
heart
else to
band.
represent.
Yeah.
He could associate
It'll
with.
cross sell.
Yeah. They did. the right thing. Dan and I were just like, I'm not even fucking with you.
Right.
Get out of here.
Right.
I would have been like, all right, $23,000, please.
Yeah.
Just see what he said.
The other story is the guy that, like, he was a regular customer and he came in kind of like a little tipsy with his wife, and they wanted their names tattooed on each other, and I was like, all right, well, his name is TJ, so it's just 2 capital letters. And I drew a TJ in script, and he's like, that doesn't look like a T. And I was like, well, here's a lettering book. Tell me what T's you like. And he threw it across the room. I was like, these don't look like T's. And it ended up like he backed me up against a wall, and I had to twist his arm behind his back and throw him in the lobby. And his wife just walked out the door. Like, whoop, I'm done.
Because T's didn't look like T's.
Yeah, that was like the most bizarre thing in the world. Never saw him again.
No way.
It was pretty great.
Unbelievable. So, I mean, what's your, is there a policy on that, stance on that? Like, hey, we've been dating for 2 months, we want to tattoo our names on each other. Are you just like, all right, let's do it?
Yeah, I'll be like, are you sure? And if they're like, yeah, that's all I'll do.
Yeah.
Like, that's good enough.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
If you want it covered up, you're gonna get it covered up. Unless you want it on your face or something, this kid wanted misunderstood down his jawline, and he was like 19 years old, and I was like, I'm not doing that, man. And he was like, I'll find somebody to do it. And I'm like, that's fine. Doesn't have to be me.
Right.
So if somebody wants like their girlfriend's name on their neck, I'll be like, nah, let's not do that.
Where do you draw the line? Is it case by case?
Yeah, I mean, we have a policy like no hands, no necks, no face unless you're like super covered anyway, but we don't need to get like spouses' names on our necks because we cover it all the time. We're the ones who see that mistake all the time.
Right.
What's your favorite tattoo that you've completed to date?
It's always like the newer like big tattoo that I do. I just did a tattoo on my wife that's like a little like heart locket on her ditch that has an eye in it. It's nothing like, the idea is nothing crazy, but I really love the tattoo. And when I get done with something like that, like the newest one is always like, yeah, that's tight.
The newest, the freshest one?
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, I guess kind of walk us through that for people who have never had a tattoo. I guess when somebody walks in here, what's kind of the process that you go through with them? They come in and they have an idea. Where does it go from there?
I just say, they tell me their idea, whether it's like they bring in something that they like or they just have an idea of what they want. We just go over where they want it, how they want it. I'll give them a little bit of my input because they're not a tattooer. I'm going to be the one that knows how it's going to look the best. I mean, some people try to micromanage you, but like if you want to be you better bring it in because I'm not going to be the guy that draws like this thing just changed a little bit here, and then they just give me a cash deposit, make an appointment, and they come in and I'll have the drawing ready for them. So,
how often do you have to come up with the actual design on your own? I guess if I walk in here and I'm like, hey, I want a heart and a sword and a bear, and I want you to figure it out and make it into a tattoo, how often does that happen?
that's like 80% of my work. I usually have to draw most of everything.
And then, I mean, how many cracks do you have at it? How often are you then creating it and getting it like on the first try?
Well, it's never like the first try because I'll be changing stuff as I'm sketching, and then once I have like the black ink line drawing, like that's my all right, we're done. I draw a lot of stuff on people, and what I'll do is like draw it in yellow, and a lot of times I'll have to change a lot of that yellow, and then I'll draw it in green, and I'll make a little bit more changes, and then I'll draw it in red, and that'll be the last one. So the changes always go like as you're sketching,
Sure.
and then the final drawing is just that's the one.
Gotcha. And do you ever get anybody that comes in and they, you put their idea on paper and they're like, no, that's not it?
I really like. They may have like one little this. I'm not really into this little part of it, and then I'll change it. It won't be a big deal. But I've never had somebody be like, that is not what I want.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Do you have a a specialty or a style as a tattoo artist?
I do like American traditional, like the sailor style. I do like Tibetan mandalas, like geometric like flowers. And then other than that, I like lettering a lot. I don't get to do it a lot anymore, but that's what I used to love doing that. I used to do names like crazy, and now people don't really get them.
And how did you get into those styles? Being that you weren't super artistic going into this, how is it just something you kind of fell into that you figured out along the way?
Yeah, American traditional was that's like the quintessential tattoos, like daggers and panthers and roses and everything. And that's what drew me in. I was a punk kid, so like that's what the punks had, were like those tattoos. When you saw like Dwayne Peters, the singer of the U.S. Bombs, like he had just all this traditional tattoos. And so like, that's cool, like all that hard, like, because Old Navy and Marine dudes, they were hard, and so all like the punk rock kids and Skins and everybody, they all got traditional tattoos because that's what was tough. And now it's like there's lots of cholo stuff and tribal stuff that can look tough, but this stuff has lasted for almost 200 years, and it's just like still the same classic bold design. And it's still just timeless and tough.
Yeah. So how many times, are there times where you're doing a piece and you know that you messed up a little bit and you just kind of, like, what do you do in that situation?
There's not, like, most of the time it's just like kind of a wiggle in a line, but not a lot.
Right.
Like, that's the important part, is you better be doing it really well the whole time. And so like those little imperfections are going to be in every tattoo. Even like the best tattooers in the world are going to have little imperfections. So that's not even a big deal. But just the other day, I only had like one misspelling in my whole career. And then just the other day, I put the wrong Roman numerals on a couple. And I hope they don't mind me talking about it, but I fixed it. I covered that, put new Roman numerals around it, made it a nicer tattoo even, but it's just, sometimes it happens,
Yeah.
We're not perfect, we're not machines, so.
So, like we mentioned before, you came to Yankee Doodle Dandy Tattoo in 2007. You mentioned that your love and skill has flourished since you came here. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, Dan mopped the floors for Ed Hardy in Tattoo City. So, like, that's where he came from. He came from this pedigree of, like, San Francisco tattooers because he lived out there. And Freddie Corbin helped open the shop. Like, he was, like, around all these, like, iconic people. And that's where he came from. And so his knowledge, let alone, like, the books and the drawings on the wall by, like, Philip Blue and Ed Hardy and everything, like that knowledge and him pushing me in the right direction even more than because at the shop I was the boss, and I wasn't around people who were pushing me in the direction that I wanted to go. Like they would give me critiques, but they were coming at it from like an art school standpoint. Like the people that I worked with were art school kids, and I wasn't working with like an old school tattooer, and that's where my talent lied. And so he's like helped push me that way.
So I guess who would be your right now biggest influences in tattoos?
Oh man, I think most of my friends. Like I follow so many tattoo artists on Instagram, and I just go back to my friends, and that's the way it's always been. That's who I've always gotten tattooed by. I think tattooing is a really like intimate thing.
Yeah. So
like I feel weird like going to somebody and being like, here's $300, thanks for the rose. I have no connection with you besides that I think your tattoos are cool. I like to meet them first and then hang out a little bit and then get tattooed. But so like Paul Nice, he works at Ironheart. Joshua Bowers works at Ironheart in Des Moines, and then Steve, Veronica, and Dan work with me here. But I have friends like Nathan Evans, Jonathan Penshoff. They tattoo in like Ohio and Denver. I just have a lot of friends like all over the place now, from working conventions in the early 2000s, and then like just through Instagram, I've made a lot of friends. Like my friend Corey Schofield in Austin, I met him on Instagram just because we were both straight edge vegan and had Boston Terriers, and then he was a groomsman in my wedding. So I think it's all just like my friends. I can see all those like tattooers and like, oh, that's fucking badass, but like my buddy made that, and that's dope, and that's what I like to see.
Well, convention, what do you mean?
Tattoo conventions, it's just like rows of tattooers tattooing people.
Really?
And most of that is like people who travel to all the conventions, and they do guest spots all over. Like my friend Nathan Evans, who I just mentioned, he owns a shop in Ohio, but for the past 5 years, he didn't have a home. He just traveled. He lived in hotels on people's couches, like staying with people, and he just worked guest spots in different shops all over the world, Australia, Europe, everywhere. And he just works conventions, and he has thousands of followers on Instagram, and so he just says, I'm coming here, booking it right now. They'll email him, send him a deposit, and he gets to the convention, they show up.
Wow, I had no idea
That's
was a
wild.
thing. So people are just like, hey, I have this idea. There's gonna be a convention. Let's go find myself an artist.
Yeah, a lot of tattooers like don't have like appointments, and they'll just be sitting there waiting for walk-ups.
Huh.
And that's why I don't do conventions, is because I'm a little bit more focused on this shop and like my family. And for me to do a convention, because I didn't keep doing conventions, I stopped. And the guys who keep doing conventions, they have a clientele everywhere they go. But for me, my clientele is here because I care. Like, I'm not saying that they don't care more about their shop, but like I run the shop, so I want to make the shop nice. And so staying here is better for me because I don't have to make the money that I was gonna make here. I don't have to make my travel expenses. I don't have to make my booth rental. I don't have to make my hotel room, like all that money you have to like spend, you have to make on top of the money you would have made when you were at home.
Are they normally charging more because of that, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's usually about twice as much.
Oh, wow.
So then you talked about how important it is for you to have the connection with a tattoo artist when you're getting work done. How important is that same connection from you as an artist to someone that comes in to get a tattoo done by you?
That's a great question. Like, I try to have fun and talk to every client. Like, the initial consultation is never like that intimate because like they just walk in, I talk to them, I make the appointment. But hopefully they just like my work. And people in town, like, they're not going to know every tattooer, and they may know a tattooer that's not even good, and so they want to go get a nice tattoo. But they don't want to travel to Chicago. They don't want to have to travel to Minneapolis. So they're going to find a person here. And so they're going to find somebody who they're like, oh, I like this guy's work. He has a lot of good recommendations. People don't say he's too much of a dick, and which I used to have that reputation of being a dick. But
Why is that?
I mean, when I was not sober and then my early days of being sober, I was just a salty guy, I'm still kind of like, I'm blunt, but like some people think that's being a dick, But I hope now people think that like I'm a pretty happy guy and I'm having fun. And some people like that, some people don't. I'll try to have fun with people and even ask them what they're watching on TV, and they're just like, I don't watch TV. But all right, I'll just listen to my rap music.
Yeah, we'll sit here in silence.
So then I guess to kind of piggyback off that last question, talk about the experience you want your customers to have when they come in here and get a tattoo by Ace Wilde.
I want them to have fun, like I want you to come in here, like if the other guys are in the shop, like if Veronica or Steve or Dan are here, I want like us all yelling jokes at each other, or like the clients joking with each other. That's why our shop is the old school, like you're sitting on top of each other vibe, is because we want it to be a fun atmosphere. we'll be listening to like jazz or reggae or like 90s hip hop and just have fun, you know? And so I hope that somebody comes here and just like leaves and like, man, I would go do that again just to hang out.
Yeah. Are you mainly working on people that you have worked on before, or is it a lot of first time?
I'd say probably 40% of my clients are regulars, and probably the 60 are like, I've never seen them before in my life.
So then of those 60, how many do end up coming back to get additional work done?
I'd probably say 40% of those.
Good question.
But I mean, I stay about the same booked out. So like, I'm not gaining like a ton more clientele, but I'm not like marketing myself on Instagram, like pushing it everywhere and trying to grow. I think I'm at a comfortable place in life, and that's the way I'd like to keep it, is comfortable instead of stressful.
Is it true that after the first one, you get the itch?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You should ask my mom. My mom's like covered in tattoos now. And my dad was like not into it at all, and he has a bunch of tattoos now.
And that's because of you, or do they have tattoos prior to you becoming an artist?
I don't know if they would have ever gotten tattooed. It may have happened. I can't say that it wouldn't, but
they definitely didn't have any prior to you becoming passionate about it.
no. My mom got tattooed by the guy who taught me how to tattoo, and she did it because she wanted to support me. And then I started tattooing, and she was like, "Okay, tattoo me." And now she's got a ton of tattoos.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's awesome. So out in your free time, I mean, are you doing art outside of what you do here, or is it kind of like, you know, you do it all day here?
I used to do a lot more art. I used to paint a lot. I used to write graffiti when I was a lot younger, but now, like, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
You know, I have a 16-year-old kid. I just got married. I run a nonprofit, and so like, I just don't have the time. I wish I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling my wife the other day, I did paintings of my friends' dogs, and then I posted those, and somebody else was like, "I want a painting of my dog," and so I did one for her. And I was like, I wish I could just do this.
Yeah.
I want to just paint people's dogs.
Life goals. So you don't really do the traveling stuff much anymore, correct?
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of use it as a vacation.
Where else is that taking you to?
I mean, just California and Texas is where I've tattooed. But, like, I just go to Austin and, like, work in a shop for a few days and then hang out for a few days. It pays for the travel expenses, even though, like, I'm self-employed, so I don't get paid time off. That vacation costs me money, and I'm not making money here.
Right.
And so, but you still have to take time off. And so I'll just go there, do a few tattoos. I'll pay for a little bit of the trip. That way I'm not out a ton of money.
Outside of tattooing, what are you up to? We talked a little bit about the Iowa Farm Sanctuary. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm currently the secretary of Iowa Farm Sanctuary. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We're the first nonprofit farm sanctuary in Iowa. And what we do is we rescue farm animals, and they can be ambassadors for their species. So humans can go and visit them and find out that these animals do have feelings. They are funny. They like to cuddle, you know, instead of just being used. And like, I don't want to be too blunt, you know, I don't want to bum everybody out, but
You can be as blunt as you want.
I don't want them to be tortured. I don't want to be killed. I don't want them to be mistreated, and that they really don't need milk or meat to survive. And we're only using these animals for our own enjoyment, and I don't think that's right. And so they can be ambassadors, so people can be like, oh, like really, those are like, they're just big dogs, you know?
Mm-hmm. How'd you get involved with that? What led to that?
Well, my wife and I started Vegans of Iowa like 2.5 years ago. there just wasn't like a real vegan community presence online for Iowa. And so we started like reviewing restaurants, doing interviews of vegans in Iowa, and just giving like a resource for people to be like, oh, I didn't know I could get that product. Oh, I didn't know I could eat there and not have animal products. And then we kind of blew up a little bit within a year. And then these people, we interviewed them because they wanted to start a sanctuary. And then they contacted us and they were like, you're pretty good at running social media and a website. Would you want to do that for us? And we were like, hell yeah. And so it got so busy so fast that we had to just leave Vegans of Iowa behind and focus solely on this.
It's cool. You've been a vegan for 12 years now?
Yep.
And how did you decide to do that?
What led you to it?
I got sober 13 years ago, and I was a complete train wreck before that. My son was almost going to be 3 years old. I was barely seeing him. I was like living in a shithole and just all around like a piece of shit. And I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I can't be doing this anymore. So I got sober, and as I was like going through the process of like, all right, this is not good for me. It's got to go. This is not good for me. It's got to go. This is not good for the world. Me being like this way, that's got to go. And so when I started trying to be a better person for other people and the world, I was like, I don't want to eat animals anymore. I don't think they should die so I can eat when I don't need to. Like, it's not a necessity. We can live much healthier without it, so I'm not going to do it anymore. And then within like 8 months, I was like, you know what? I think this is my last Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. I'm not gonna do any animal products anymore. And that was it. I didn't even look back. I was like, I'm done.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
that's
that's
nuts.
nuts.
So, describe if you can, how much better did you feel physically, mentally from cutting those things out of your diet?
Well, I mean, it was all like everything within like the span of 2 years. It was like drinking and drugs and cigarettes within like a few months.
So you cut that out, and then like instantly you're feeling, what, 100 times better than you were?
I can tell you that when I quit drinking, I was 210, and I'm only 5'5", so I'm a really short guy. And I weighed 210 pounds.
Wow.
And then once I went vegan, I was 140 pounds. And then I started working out, and I got to back up to like 170, 180, and that's where I kind of sit. Like, chubbier I get, the bigger I get, or like the slimmer I get, I sit around there. But like, I just got super healthy, really quick. And it made me feel like I was like 10 years younger, even though I was only 22 when I quit drinking. I was like, I was only 22 when I quit drinking, and I still felt like this old man because I'd been working in a bar for 6 years, smoking, drinking, doing a ton of drugs, and I was like severely overweight. And so like by the time I cut all that stuff out, I was like, man, I feel like a kid. Like, I feel like I'm 15.
Just full of energy?
Yeah, and I haven't stopped. Like, I'm grayer and balder now, but I still feel like a little kid.
You had to quit the job at that point too.
The bar?
Yeah.
I quit the bar that I did work at, but I didn't stop bouncing for like another 6 years. But I worked for like a concert company, and I worked for different bars that weren't so like, it wasn't the same people and the same environment. So I could leave that behind and separate it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So did you notice after you made all these changes that your work as a tattoo artist changed or improved or?
Oh, like exponentially.
How so?
Like, I remember this guy Tilt, he owns a shop in Champaign, Illinois. He came and did a guest spot at the shop that I was working at. And it was in the process of me, I was almost done smoking. So it was only like a month or two into being sober. And I was like, and him and another guy were working on drawing and like, kind of doing a workshop together. And he was like, hey, get in here. And I was just like, man, everything's just clicking. And then it just never stopped clicking. I just kept evolving after that instead of focusing on like, how cool am I that I'm a tattooer? How cool is it? You know, like it was less about my ego and more about doing the best work I could.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Everything was just more clear.
Yep. And it's selfless. You know, it's not about me. It's about putting something better out in the world.
Which is, I would think that's extremely important for your customers to know too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you're in it for them and bringing their idea to life.
Yeah, if you have
truly passionate about it, you're not just here drawing tattoos and churning people out.
Yeah,
$200.
Get out of
here. Thanks.
If people are just like, yeah, more money, or just like, yeah, like doing that whole like, I'm a tattooer, you know, like, look at all these girls around me and all this stuff. Like, that guy's probably not the best tattooer because it's all about him. Mm-hmm. It's not, and like people who just tattoo themselves, like they don't get tattooed by other people. Like they think they are so fucking good that nobody's better than them. They're never gonna get good. They're only gonna plateau. They're only gonna get worse because they think that their shit doesn't stink. Mm-hmm. And like, dude, your shit always stinks. You can always clean it up.
Tell me about that.
About what?
This lady here.
Oh, that's actually Charles Lovelady's mom. Do you know who Charles Lovelady is? He was killed by bouncers at Coconut Joe's in the late 90s, I think.
I remember that, yeah.
And Dan was really good friends with him and his mom. And she, to this day, she has a golf tournament that she does at, what's the one right down here? Waveland. She does a golf tournament every year for Waveland, and she puts the money right back into the community, and just like in memorial of her son. But she was like, Dan, I want you to have this because I know you'll appreciate it. You know? And so it sits up there all the time. People ask if it's Michael Jackson, and it's like, no, man.
She's just watching over the shop.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess just going from doing tattoos only to running the shop, what challenges did you have?
Well, I did that even from a young age. By the time I was like 20, I managed two tattoo shops and a piercing shop that were all owned by the same guy. And that only came because the guy I learned from, he left to come work here, of all places. And then when he left, this other guy took over as the manager, and then he left. And so the only other trustworthy person, because everybody else was just like shitbags, was me. And
the non-shitbags.
Yeah. And so, but I learned, that's what you learn being an apprentice, is like, this is how the shop works. And so it's really not that hard for any tattooer to like take over, as long as they're responsible, you know? Like it's really just runs itself. You just have to order some shit. You gotta buy some toilet paper and just like have everything here and answer some emails and some phone calls. It's really not that hard.
Has that changed, changed what you guys do? I mean, you've been in it for a while, right? And from the time you started to now, I mean, technology is 100% different. Has that changed the way you guys run stuff quite a bit with email and social media and stuff like that?
Oh, definitely. Like Veronica has an iPad Pro now. Like, she doesn't draw on paper, ever.
Really?
She just draws on her iPad, prints it right off. If she needs to make it a little bit smaller, she just changes it on the copy machine. Because she draws, like, I draw mandalas, like the geometric flowers, and I take tracing paper, fold it like 1,000,000 times, and keep repeating the same thing over and over and over and over. Drawing a mandala for me probably takes about an hour, and I'll try it on her iPad. It'll literally take under 10 minutes. It'll just be like, it'll just repeat it for you. It'll just one line, it'll be like, that whole part's done. And then I'll be like, I don't like that one, erase it, just do a new one. And it's just like, bam, like that. So I think, like, it's just going to get easier and easier and easier. People are going to invent, like, like the tattoo machine from Starship Troopers, where they just stuck their arm in there and it lasers it right on,
Yeah.
and then they dump whiskey on it. But
Do you think with like that technology evolving, will that take away from like the art or like the true artists out there that did use like these old school tools? You know, the technology getting a lot better nowadays. Like I do see that in different areas.
I do. I think it makes it easier for people who don't have the passion or the talent to do the tattoos, and that's why, like, the last time I knew there was 85 tattoo shops in Polk County. When I started tattooing, there was only 7 shops in the area.
85?
Now there are 85. Like, and I tell people,
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I tell people there's like 6 or 7 good shops still. Like, a lot of those shops are gone, like those original 7, but now there's like new shops. So like there's 7 good shops in this town, you know, like, and there's 85 tattoo shops. Like, it makes it easier for them to just like print something off the internet and just copy it.
Yeah.
They're not drawing it. They're not like, and if they do draw it, they're just looking at something else, you know. And so technology has made everything a lot easier, which means it kind of like evens out the playing field a little bit. And so the people who are really good have to really stand out, and hopefully they do, you know.
Do you still prefer doing it, I don't want to call it old school, but your original white paper as opposed to using the technology that'll get it done faster for you?
I haven't used the iPad enough, but I mean, when I watch her use it, it's just like, oh, that looks so easy. But I still draw on paper, but I would do mandalas on an iPad Pro, but I don't want to drop $2,000 on an iPad Pro. I can just use some paper instead of spending $2,000. If they get cheaper, I'll use it, you know, but I still think I'll draw roses. I'll draw a lot of other stuff on paper, you know, but I want to use the technology if I'm able to.
Right. Well, and then, like, Instagram, that's going to be huge for you, right? I mean, that's a great platform for you to share your work.
I would even say that like Instagram was the spark of like another wave of tattooing. Like, it just keeps, like, tattooing just keeps having this hump that jumps it up even further. You know, like Miami Ink was probably one of those things, just like boom, it just like bumped it up. And then with Instagram, it just like skyrocketed it. So like tattooers that I knew who were like busy in their hometowns, they were just so good that other people started following them. And then they have 25,000 followers on Instagram. And then they're booked for like 2 years. They can't take any more clients, you know?
Wow, that's like 2 years?
I mean, there's my friend Josh at Ironheart. Like, he's booked like a year out, but he's worth it, you know. But like, that's the thing. If you're really good, if it's super striking, and you know that that's a good tattoo, like, people are gonna like flock to it. If you're not dope, then people are just gonna like trail off. You're gonna lose them all. But those guys who have this like big striking work or something nichey, like there's like a woman who hand pokes all of her tattoos and they look like they're done with a machine. 100,000 followers on Instagram, booked forever. Doesn't take any new clients.
Is there still stuff that you see? You know, if you're browsing through Instagram, is there still tattoos that you see where you're like, wow, like that's incredible? Or is it kind of at this point to you? I don't want to say it all blends together, but it's kind of like you've seen most of everything.
No, like if I open Instagram, like even my friends, like I said, I'll just be like, oh, that's fucking sick. Like, or like, you know, a koi has been done so many times, you know, but Veronica just did this koi sleeve the other day, and it's just like, it looks so sick. And it's like, when a tattoo's done really well, it's just still one of my favorite things after like 18 years doing this.
What about that one specifically stood out that you were super impressed by?
It's just super clean, super bold, like in all the movement. Like with a koi, that's the most important part. If it looks stiff, if the water looks stiff, if the water doesn't look like it's moving, then it's not dope. And so like if everything's working together, that's when it's just like, that's fucking sick, you know?
Is that like, does that give you that feeling like, I gotta get working on something?
Oh yeah, like I'm so busy and and everything now that like I see people paint stuff like I gotta paint, and I started like getting super anxious that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And then I see people do like big tattoos, but I'm doing a bunch of tattoos all the time, but it just makes me go, oh, I wish I could do a koi right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what it makes me do. Like I see some like a sick rose, and it's like, oh, I want to do a rose now. I want to live up to that potential, and that's what I hope everybody doing anything. Like, doesn't matter what business you're in. If you see somebody do something like so good that you're super impressed, it should drive you to try to live up to them, or surpass them. Otherwise, what are you doing it for?
I was just going to ask, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, but I think you may have just...
Oh, yeah? That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. Let's do it. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
That I've ever received?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think stay grateful, you know? Like, Dan, my business partner, like, he's always just like, man, you just got to be grateful. Like, if you're not thankful that you're here, if you're not thankful that you're doing the thing that you love, like, change it or get thankful. Like, you should have gratitude. You should be like, thank you, universe, for bringing me to this point. Thank you. Like, it doesn't matter how shitty things are going. Like, there's always stuff to be thankful for. And if you're not focused on that, if you're only focused on how shitty things are, that's like, you're not going to be very happy, you know? And you're not going to live your best life or be the best tattooer or anything.
What advice would you give to someone starting out or with the desire to become a tattoo artist?
Get tattooed. That's what I tell everybody.
Get tattooed.
Yeah. If you're not obsessed with tattooing enough that you want to be covered in tattoos, then there's no reason for you to do it. Like, then you just think that it's an easy job. You think that, oh, I can do that or something like that. But if, like, it better like grab you by the balls or whatever, and you should be like, man, I just have to be covered in tattoos. Because otherwise, like, how are you going to learn how to tattoo anyway? Nobody's just going to hand it to you. Like, but if you make a relationship with a tattooer, if you're getting tattooed all the time by that person's going to start respecting you. They're going to start, like, really liking you, that you're going to, like, become friends. I have a lot of clients that, like, we would never met or anything outside of tattooing. And they're from a completely different walk of life, but we're friends now. And so that's the person that a tattooer is going to give knowledge that's going to make you money and, like, take business away from them. You know, like, there's so many tattooers now. Why do I want to give that to anybody? Like, you should be obsessed with tattooing. So if you're not even willing to get tattooed by me, I'm not going to help you get to be a tattooer. And so I think just, if you want to do tattoos, get tattooed. Get tattooed by a bunch of people. Find out what you like, what you don't like, who you don't like. Because you may be like, that guy's a total fucking dick, but I like his tattoos. Like, I don't want to be like him, but I want to do tattoos like him.
Do you have any space left? Are you covered?
I have, like, the back of my left knee, like, below my belly button. That's about it.
And
not a whole lot.
Are those in play right now? Are you thinking about something for those?
The back of my knee is spoken for, and then I just, like, below my belly button, I don't really want to do. Like, I'm going to have to do it eventually, but it's not going to be fun at all.
There's some real estate on the face left.
I'm not going to do it on my face. I shouldn't have done the first one. So.
Well, what's the story behind that?
I wanted a tattoo on my face, and I told a bunch of people I was going to do it, and they were like, don't do that. And then my mom, of all people, was like, fuck them, I think you should do it. And so I was like, oh man, mom told me to do it, I got to do it.
Shout out, mom. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. What else?
What's your most meaningful tattoo that you have on your body right now?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I just lost like the dog that I've had the whole time I've been sober. So like my new life, this second life, I've had this dog the whole time, and I have a big portrait of him on my thigh. And I think right now that's my most important tattoo.
Who did that for you?
Rabbit Abby, she works at Carrie Black Tattoo in the East Village. She did a long time ago. So she's even better now.
Three quick hitters.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, if somebody's in town visiting, first time in Des Moines, where are you taking them? Not necessarily for tattooing, just for entertainment, to eat.
To eat, it'd be Adong, no matter what.
Okay.
I have an Adong tattoo, so it's kind of a given.
Where?
That I have to. I got Hot Pot, man. Like,
That's amazing.
I want to know how many A-Dong tattoos exist.
3. I
Third.
can tell you 3. My friend Ryan and my friend Evan. Dan did both me and Evan, and then I did Ryan's. But
Does A-Dong know you have an A-Dong tattoo?
Oh yeah, my picture's on the wall.
Oh, really? That's great.
But I don't know where I'd take that. Probably Up Down for entertainment, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's kind of one of those in every city now. But I think Up Down was like one of the OGs, and I think it's still good.
You're Des Moines born and raised, correct?
Yep, Southside.
What makes this place so special to you?
I would have left a long time ago, but I have a kid, and so I wanted to stick around for him. Des Moines is just so easy. You know, you can drive everywhere.
Yeah.
Even if it's rush hour, it's gonna, instead of taking you 15 minutes, it's gonna take you 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's really like, it's so cheap, it's easy, like everybody's nice. Everything about it is like the perfect place to live. You know, you're not missing anything. The only thing you're missing is like a couple bands will fly over. They won't stop here, but most of everything you're gonna be able to see it. You know.
Do you like the growth that's happening right now in Des Moines as far as like the art scene? I feel like that has been being pushed a lot more than, you know, recent past years.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I know so many artists, so like seeing like all the shows at the Lift, seeing what Jordan Weber's done just in the past like 10 years. I know you just did the show with him, you know, like I had Van Holmgren, like there's a bunch of tattooers that like the guys from Sacred Diamond do a regular art show like all the time. Those guys are always producing. I think this town, I even think it was like the sculpture garden showed everybody in this town that isn't like engrossed in the art scene that there is a place for art in this town, and it is important. And you saw when they were going to take away the art fund, like how many people showed up at the Capitol and they're like, no, absolutely not. Like this is what's helping this city grow. And if it's not just corporations, it's like how our culture is viewed from the outside, from like what's being created on the inside instead of the outside coming here.
People don't expect that here either.
Yeah.
People from out of town. Like I remember I was talking to this lady in Chicago, and I was buying something, and she was just telling me, she asked me where I was from, and I said Des Moines. She's like, oh man, I went to Des Moines, and I was blown away. Like I didn't expect, you know, any of the stuff there that was there when I was driving through downtown, and you know, like bridges and architecture. She's like, nobody expects that when you're driving through Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. Like we should be able to show everybody how like great this town is, and that's, I think the art scene, like the art goes to everything. Like you just said, all the architecture and the bridges, like that's artists. Like they're making something that's like you go and like that's fucking dope.
And it's still going too. I mean, look at the crosswalk paintings that they're putting downtown now. I mean, they keep coming up with more and more.
Yeah, the pianos, like the outdoor pianos, like Jake Hasselman did one, Mike Watson did one. You know, like all that stuff. Like they're just like Des Moines is embracing its artists, and the artists are embracing Des Moines back. And if we don't show them that we love them, like, what are we doing this for? Like Winston Churchill said, like, I don't even remember the exact quote, but like it was about art, and it's just like if you if we destroy all that, what are we fighting for?
Mhm.
You know?
Let's should we do some word association?
Yeah. Just wrap it up
Ooh,
with
that scares me.
Yeah, so just you say a word, first thing you think of after that. Actually, before we do that, I have a question. Where did the shop name come from?
Well, Dan's old nickname was Dandelion, so everybody called him Dandy. But he's a Yankee, he doodles, and his name is Dandy.
That's great. That is great.
That's good.
Dan,
It's always something like
shout
that
out to
too.
you.
It's always something that's just very like straightforward. Like when we asked Matt why it was Elevated Fitness, he's like, "Well, it's a fitness shop and it's on the second floor."
I love Matt Doty so much.
He's amazing.
He's really amazing.
So all right. So basically, I'm gonna say a word. First thing you think of, say it back to me. First one is Yankee.
Doodle.
Ink.
Tattoos.
Eagle.
Ouch.
Wu-Tang.
Ain't nothing to fuck with.
That's exactly what I hoped you'd say. Art.
Real.
Tribal.
I don't. Bold is what
Okay.
just came to my head.
Okay.
I'm not as quick as Matt was doing. Matt was like, you'd say it, and he'd just like, boom.
I think that was some quick editing too, maybe. So,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I did.
He was he was feeling a type of way that day.
Feeling the type of way.
Neck tat.
Come on.
Sleep.
Just good. I don't know why I'm just like, my answers are way more boring than that.
You're doing well. Des Moines.
The shit.
Yeah. Mozart.
Oh, my boy. That's my dog.
I just added that one because
Really?
I've been reading your tats.
Oh, yeah. That's my dog's name. Yep.
The future.
Scary.
Inspiration.
Love.
Cover up.
We'll just go with me giggling.
And last but not least, the infamous tramp stamp.
I'm so glad it's over. Like I haven't done one in like years.
Is that an automatic no?
No, it's not. Like, but it just doesn't happen.
Nobody's asked to go.
That's when women start getting rib tattoos. People like tattooers tried to make it the hoe handle,
Yeah.
so they would get people to not do them as much because the tramp stamp made everybody just stop. So,
what's the worst thing you've had to cover up, or like the thing that you just thought to yourself, why the hell did you do this in the first
dude,
place?
like a totally ghetto done veiny penis. Dan was like, all right, man, I gotta get out of here. And I had like some people lined up in the shop, and he was like, I can't wait for you to see what you're covering up on her. And I was like, what is
Was
it?
that a woman?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess
Where was it?
It was on her thigh. It was her only tattoo.
like all the way down her thigh.
No, it was probably 4 by 4 inches. So it was just like this like crudely drawn, shitty, but like there was a vein drawn on it, like a veiny penis. And he was like, oh, I'm not telling you what it is. And he just left. And I was like, what are we covering up? And she showed me, and I had to stand there for a second. And I go, tell me why you did that. And she was like, I was 19. I had just experienced my first one, and I had to get it tattooed on me.
What?
Yep. That's straight up how it happened.
So that was it was a mural. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
In homage to the dick.
Yes. Yes. That's fantastic. And what did you cover it with?
Roses.
I was hoping you'd say bigger dick.
No.
This is my new piece.
Oh man. I think should we end on the dick?
I think we have to. I don't know where else we can go with this.
I really don't know where else you can go after that.
Ace Wilde, thanks for having us. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, this was a blast, man.
Where can everyone reach you at? Plug your social media, your website.
Well, the shop, Yankee Doodle Dandy Tattoo. My Instagram is Ace Wilde with an E at the end. That's how you spell it. And obviously there's a Facebook and yddtattoo.com. Iowa Farm Sanctuary, you can just find it at iowafarmsanctuary.org. There's a Facebook, there's an Instagram. You can see lots of cute photos of cows, pigs, goats, turkeys.
Jackie's gonna love that. She loves pigs.
If we ever create a handcrafted name Hall of Fame, I think Ace Wilde's gonna be like first ballot.